Good morning, team. What is up? Happy Friday. Good morning, chat. How are you guys doing? Take a look at news real quick. I know this morning we had PPI about an hour ago. We do have a couple of earnings later, but nothing that's like huge in terms of NQ. A big thing that got added since I've looked last time is Trump has executive orders at 11 o'clock. And then we have some Fed speakers after that. So that is a good reason to maybe have a one and done, or maybe like 2 quick trades this morning and be done before 11. I'm not a fan of trading while Trump is talking. All right, so I have an anchored view out from the low of today down here. It looks like we're kind of trying to hold. We're hovering there. 850 has been pretty big resistance overnight. We have this big resistance area, kind of leaning towards shorts. So if we come up here to 900-ish and reject, that could be a good spot for shorts. It could come as high as like 26K. If we have a bullish reclaim of this level, the 900 level, 26K could be a good target. And then we also have this level up here around like 26,200-ish is a decent spot for resistance too, if we have an up day. So really, I'm just going to stay patient and see what the levels bring us. If we reject at this 25,900 level, looking for shorts. If we kind of reclaim this support resistance level, 26K would be my first target, and then potentially 26,200-ish. It's kind of what I'm watching for. This is NQ. That's what my chart is. I also watch gold on a different screen to see if anything comes up there. I will let you guys know. But NQ is my main trading apparatus. As you guys are coming in, we're waiting for the market to open. Hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. All right, market is open and it is holding that anchored view op right there. So far, let's see what happens up at this 25,900 level. All right, so far, no signs of rejecting at 25,900. 2650 for heavy resistance, yeah. That's why I actually have an alert set at this 26K level. That was an area I was watching overnight and never got back up there, but I agree that would be an area for resistance. And that could be a decent liquidity sweep too, because that's a recent high, overnight high around 2620. So it did reject that 25,900 level. If it breaks below this chop zone from the pre-market and gets below this low of day anchored VWAP, we could be jumping into shorts right now. Because that was a level I was watching in terms of a rejection. Let's see. I'm not convinced that we're going further down yet. It's holding here. I'm just gonna let this settle a little bit. Hasn't really given us a clear direction. I am not sold on the fact that it's gonna dump. Originally, I was thinking it could go down, but it's holding here. Might go up before it goes down. Let's see if it breaks this 900 level. This is that support resistance zone I was kind of watching. Still stuck for now. But it kind of looks like it might be trying to break through. What you guys think in the chat? Trying to break higher, or is it going to reject here? It's still chopping in this zone. If it comes back down to like 850-ish and it holds and starts moving back up, I'm not opposed to taking a long. And I would target this 26K level somewhere around there. All right, coming back down. Let's see if it holds here. We have both of those VWAPs, the session VWAP and the anchored VWAP from low of day right here. If it bounces, could be a good entry. Yep, the NQ is what the chart is. All right, I bounced at that VWAP spot. Still stuck below that 900 level. Very interesting open. I feel like a couple days this week we've had moves where it just like the whole move happens in the first 15 minutes. This one's faking people out a little bit. All right, I'm entering along 875.4 is where I got in. Let's see if it makes it up to the 26K. That's what I'm gonna aim for. Gonna put my stop loss at break even. Overnight levels, I think it was 2620 was the overnight high. 2618-ish, 19. Let's see if it keeps going up or if it hits my trailing stop loss. Uh-oh. Verisat's going opposite. Oh no. Don't take this the wrong way, but I hope you're wrong. I love you, man, but I hope you're wrong. All right, there's my trailing stop loss. Usually I give my trades a lot more room and let them play out. When they are within the first couple minutes of the market open, I always trail them faster. Honestly, probably just being a scaredy cat with all the volatility at the market open. All right, coming back down to this support zone, so it could bounce here and just go back right back up. Not opposed to re-entering if that happens. This would be the spot where I'd be looking for it to bounce. Coming back into this high volume node, which is how I mark my support and resistance, and anchored VWAP area. Let's see what happens here. Zoom into the 1 minute. Hitting the bottom of that high volume node. Is this going to hold as support? It might. Stockfather, you stepped out. What did you miss? I took a little long at the open. I saw that it was holding this VWAP area. The red one is anchored at low of day, and then the blue one is the regular session VWAP, and it was looking like it was going to reclaim this support resistance area. And then it hit my trailing stop loss. I trailed it pretty tight. So squeezed a little bit out of that one. All right, coming back to the bottom of this support zone that I have. If it holds this general area, like 860s, 850s, I'll be looking for a return maybe up to 26K or the overnight highs. If it shows weakness and breaks below this support level, and also the VWAPs are right down here, that would be a sign that we're going lower. So we're kind of in that decision zone, in my opinion. Our 15-minute opening range is set, so it could potentially like wick below VWAP and retest this opening range low and bounce up from there. Or it could just dump from there too. All right, there is a bounce off of VWAP. Let's see if it continues or what happens. So it did get a bounce off of those VWAPs. Man, I still keep thinking it's going higher. Not really interested in shorts until it shows that it's going to hold below this 850-ish level. Right now, it's still holding above it. See this little chop zone that we were stuck in for an hour before the market opened? It came down and retested that level and got a little bit of a bounce. They're trying to push this thing up. All right, I'm going to try it again. Going long. That's what I've been watching. It's holding my level. 868. Maybe I won't be so greedy with my target this time. I'm going to take off 3 at the opening range high just because it has been kind of chopping around. And then I'll leave 2 for that 26K target. You're not shorting against me this time? All right, that means it's actually going to go up, right? All right, G-Man. Have a good meeting. Are we watching Trump talk? I thought he was scheduled to talk at 11. Not for another hour. Is he talking right now? That's not good if he is. It says live. Where are you watching? I have a financial juice up and I don't see anything. YouTube times now. Gotcha. It's an urgent update. Oh my gosh. Of course. Everything is urgent. even more reason to manage risk, trail your stop losses if you're in a trade, size down, all that good stuff. Yeah, it's going to hit my trailing stop loss again. Alrighty. Well, if he is talking, that could be what all this choppiness is about. Announcing the new Fed chair. Yeah, I saw something about how he appointed someone. Coming back down to VWAP again, but it might be smart to wait until he stops talking. Because this, I mean, if you zoom out to the 5-minute chart, that's just ugly chop. And I've taken 2 trades now where it's just hit my trailing stop loss. So not a whole lot of continuation right now. So at this point, what I'm going to do is kind of watch the same levels I've been watching. If we get below this 850-ish level, that is below my higher time frame support, and it would be kind of getting below VWAP. So that would be a reason to look for shorts. And then if it starts to get back up towards this opening range high and maybe retest this 25,900 level, we could look for a continuation higher. So right now I'm just going to wait for it to get out of this chop zone. It still looks like it's holding above this level, but with managing risk and trailing stop losses, it kept just taking my stop loss out. I don't like Trump. I didn't say anything about that. I just think presidents in general, I think my only comment was that it's always important, just every president in general, every time they talk, it's like, everyone needs to listen. I have something very, very important to say. That just makes me laugh. Yeah, I agree, Stockfather. That's kind of how I approach the news. I don't, like, when PMI comes out or FOMC or like any of those things, I don't really try to know, like, understand what the economical numbers are going to do to the market. Like, is it going to go up if the numbers are higher or lower or whatever? I only pay attention to my levels, and then I pay attention to those news events just because volatility is going to be higher and it could potentially like take out my position if I'm in a position. So I watch those events because I usually don't want to be in a position. Not because I care what the president is saying or what the data release is. I know there's a window right there of high volatility that I should probably tighten up my stop loss, lower my size, or not be in a position. So that's the only reason I pay attention to that stuff. But honestly, in real life, I don't pay attention to politics at all. Like if you tried to sit at dinner with me and have a conversation about politics, I would be like, I don't know. I don't watch the news. I have no idea what's going on in the world. I do that on purpose because I like to live in my little positive bubble of people surrounding me that I care about and that love me, and I don't need to know about all the terrible things going on in the world that the news likes to talk about. Judge me for it. I don't care. And I don't think it's being naive. Like, I'm not naive. I don't like to see all the negativity. I don't like that the media makes it seem like everyone in the world is evil and the world is terrible, because I don't think so. I think people are good and the world is good. You just have to find the good in it. All right, we're breaking below that level. And that was a pretty strong candle. So let's see if we get a little retest of this 850-ish level and might look for a short. But it's also pretty wicky right now. So going to be careful. It's still, so I'm kind of watching this like chop zone right here where we moved up pretty strong out of it, and we're still holding in that chop zone. So I wouldn't want to take a short until we like cleanly break below it and then maybe retest, because we still could blast up from here. Especially because gold is dropping pretty heavily. And I know recently, at least, they have not been inversely correlated like they are a lot of times. But that's something in the back of my mind that I'm watching for. Is if gold is dropping, maybe NQ is going to hold here and go back up. After a dramatic day of trading yesterday, does it affect how you think or trade the following day? It's something I pay attention to. I actually think yesterday was a very clean price action day. I read it pretty well and did well with my trading. But in terms of the range and like how much we were moving, it definitely gives me a reason to like size down for sure. Looking for someone more experienced who trades using VWAP and anchored VWAP. Can you add something to the Discord group? Yeah, sure. I mean, like, are you sharing your charts or like, what are you sharing? I like it when people share, especially if they're talking about like the ways they see the market or like something that's helped them in their strategy or whatever. As long as you're not selling something. Yeah, for sure, Michael. I use VWAP. You can see sometimes when I anchor too many VWAPs, my charts get a little crazy. Am I Lindsay? Nope. That's not my name. My name's Krista. I don't know who Lindsay is. This thing is kind of looking droopy. It has lots of wicks on the top side, looking weak. It's definitely a good day to size down. Because if, like, look, if you are going to take a short position here and put it, the stop loss, like even above VWAP or this general area is probably where I would put it. That's a 50-point stop loss. That's a lot. I think that's why I'm not entering at this point. Does look like it wants to go lower though. Am I in a trade yet? No, I was. There's a homeschool gal named Lindsay. I have a twin out there. I think what's holding me back from just entering a short right now is, like I said, this chop zone right here. Because we chopped for at least an hour and then we just blasted out of it at the open. And we still have not broken below there. It's holding. So I kind of see that we could go up a little bit, at least before we, like, I'm not saying we're not going to go down today, but I think we could go higher before we go down, if that makes sense. I know, those were super wise words. We're going to go up and then we're going to go down. Just kidding. Did it break out of the 15-minute orb and then retest New York Anchor VWAP? Yeah, technically. I wouldn't say we've had a true break of the 15-minute range, though. I mean, it just wicked out a little bit. I do like that trade, though, where it breaks out of the range and then comes back in and retests VWAP, and you can take a short or long, whichever direction you're trading. But I wait for a close outside and then a retest. That was just a wick. To me, that's just a fake out. See, that's exactly why I didn't want to take a short. All of this right here. And that's exactly the level that we held and blasted back up. Darn it. Should have trusted my gut and taken a long. Is my strategy a version of ICT? No, it's not. I don't use ICT. I use volume profile and VWAP, lots of different variations of volume. I use the volume bars on the bottom To confirm my entries, I use visible range volume profile to find my higher time frame support and resistance levels. I use VWAP, which is also volume. Do you notice that Mondays and Fridays are slightly different than midweek? I think it depends on the news. I do notice that Fridays get slower earlier. Like I usually try to be done on Fridays within the first hour to maybe 90 minutes because volume slows down and it kind of starts to get ugly. This is a generalization, obviously, but that's kind of what I see on Fridays. Mondays, a lot of times are pretty slow volume and like choppy if there's not news. You've probably heard of people talk about no news Mondays. They're not the easiest to trade. But if there's news, it could be a good day. So it kind of depends. Mondays depend, I think. You have 10 friend requests on Discord. Those are not me. So I don't DM people. I don't like friend people. I don't try to sell you something with payment in Bitcoin. Yeah, there's nothing for sale in my Discord. So if someone tries to sell you something and like send you a DM to sell you something, it's not me. If you want to DM me, you're more than welcome to. I do check my messages, but go into the chat room and find me. Like the posts that I make, click on my name and then send me a message. Don't reply to any of those people that message you, because that's not me. That 25,900 level that I mentioned even before the market opened, that's where we've been stuck. I don't want to short from there though, because really my stop loss would have to be up above the opening range high. And again, that's a 40, 50 point stop loss. Super wicky, you guys. It's a tricky day so far. What's my average position on MNQ? I risk $200 per trade in most of my accounts. I have some that have a little bit of a bigger buffer and I'll risk more. But so it depends on what my stop loss is. I use the risk to reward tool in TradingView, and I change this to a $200 risk, and it tells me depending on my stop loss. Like if my stop loss was that big, I take 2.5 contracts. So I would probably round up, honestly, and take 3. Or if my stop loss is tiny, like here, I would take 6 contracts. All right. Coming back up to this opening range high. Let's see what happens here. I still have a feeling it's going to break higher. 26K at least, if not higher. But what I'm going to wait for is a confirmation of a close above, and then a little bit of a retest, like a little bit of a pullback, so that my risk to reward would be better. I don't want to take a long, if we end up breaking out, I'm not going to like chase it and enter long. I would wait for it to pull back a little bit. And if that means I miss the trade, I am totally okay with that. Am I on a prop firm or cash? This is a prop firm account. I'm trading my Lucid accounts right now. And then I also have accounts with Tradeify and Trade Day. I took a pretty good short on gold in those accounts last night. That was a cool trade. If you guys are in Discord, I shared it in there. I actually posted my levels before the market even opened last night and had my little red arrow for this is the scenario I'm watching for, and it played out. It was a nice trade. Good morning, Trombone King. What's up? GT lap with MNQ. Are you talking about the position sizing? If that's what you're talking about, then yes, I trade MNQ. And when I was talking about the number of contracts, that's what I meant. There's our 15-minute high, 15-minute low. I'll turn that off. We still have about 15 minutes until our initial balance is set. Little bit of a tricky day today, guys. Honestly, I can make arguments for longs and shorts, and I haven't said this in a while, but when that happens, I know it's a good reason not to trade until I get confirmation for what I'm looking for. So far, our range is 133 points. Gold or silver? I do trade. Not silver. I haven't jumped on the silver train, but I do trade gold during Asia. I had a really good trade in gold. Let me pull up the gold chart, actually. This was my trade last night in gold. It was 317 points. And I rode it the whole way. And I shared it in Discord. So I only took 2 contracts because this is a huge range. And like I said, I risked $200 per trade. And that was my stop loss. And it said quantity 1.8. So I only took 2 contracts. And this was my first TP right here. And that was my final TP down there. So yeah, don't you worry. I trade gold. I was going to say, Elusive, you said let's keep the chat to non-confrontational topics. I was like, we're talking about gold and silver pumping. I don't know what their problem is, but wrong chat. Gotcha. All right. Still, honestly, in the range. Scenarios I'm watching for if we break out of this 15-minute opening range and get a close above, I would look for a retest of maybe this 900 level. So that would be the green scenario. I would maybe look for an entry around 900 and then target 26K. That would be if we break outside of the range. If we reject this range, like maybe a little fake out to the upside, we could look for a short and a return down to the bottom of the range. So really, I'm just looking to see what happens up here at this 15-minute opening range high. He meant to put that in the Top Step chat. Oh my gosh. I'm so done with Top Step. I'll never trade with them again. I don't miss them. Again, just like I said with politics and like not watching the news and kind of being oblivious to current events, I feel like the prop firm industry is another thing to like just ignore. I mean, I pay attention enough to where I know the rules. I know which ones are like credible and actually pay people out. And I pay attention to the ones that aren't paying out because, of course, I have people taking my recommendations and I want to know which ones are scamming people and tell you which ones to avoid. But those Discord chats, stay far away from those. There are so many negative, nasty, complaining people. Don't read those things. Well, it's just gonna come back into the range and continue chopping. You can't prove it, but you think Top Step intentionally glitched their platform? I don't know. There's lots of theories out there. There's also people that are saying that they think a hacker got in and like totally messed up the platform. That's a possibility. It also could be because they created a new technology and then they started to like sell licenses to other prop firms and maybe they got too big too fast, so it crashed the system. I don't know. I'm not a technology person, so I have no idea. There's the people that follow the hype, and then there are adults. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I actually was talking to someone else in our Discord. They were complimenting me on that, and it kind of made me feel good. But they were talking about how they're a part of some other Discords and even like paid Discords that have like good strategies and good content and stuff, but they're just full of like drama. Like people who are complaining, or like 20-year-old bros that are talking about their Lambos and like just, I don't know. I try to be like totally anti all of that. I don't like drama. I don't like flashy stuff. Like, I was at a point where I was doing really well with my businesses several years ago, but I still just put the money in the bank and bought real estate and stuff. Like, I've never had a flashy car, flashy clothes. I don't care about that stuff. So someday when I'm pulling millions of dollars out of the market, you guys are not going to see me posting videos about my new like Porsche that I just bought. Still chopping in the middle. But again, I could make an argument for longs and shorts right now because it's holding below my support and resistance level that I have, but it's also holding above VWAP. So could go either way right now. There has to be something that I splurge on when I make it. Probably trips, vacations, experiences. I think that would be it. And time freedom. Like, freedom to me is, there's money with freedom. Like, I want the freedom to be able to, the freedom to be able to like buy whatever you want and not have to look at the price tag first. Like, where do you guys want to go on a trip? Okay, I don't care that it costs $500 for a plane ticket for all of us times 5, and then the resort is $600 per night. Like, okay, $15,000 vacation, let's go. You guys want to go to Disney? Okay, let's go. Like, yeah, I'll splurge on that kind of stuff. But I'll still be driving a Ford or a Chevy or whatever. Like, it's going to be a basic car. I might, okay, I like cars. I'll tell you this. Like, when I was a kid, I used to dream a lot about cars. And I used to know a lot about nice cars. And I would like make dream boards and stuff. Not Lamborghinis and stuff like that. I don't like the crazy sports cars, but like luxury cars, I like cars. Right now, I would not buy an expensive car because I have little kids who make a huge mess and it drives me crazy. Like, all their trash is back there. I don't love having them eat in the car, but sometimes you just have to when you're like rushing from school to soccer practice and then, all the errands that we have to run. So sometimes they're eating in the car. There's crumbs everywhere. Heck no, I'm not buying a $150,000 car and having them destroy it. No. So maybe when they're all like graduated and out of the house, then I'll buy myself a nice car. Right now I have a Ford Expedition and I love it. It's actually a really nice car. I love my car. But it's nothing crazy. All right, well, I guess it was not going to come up to the top of the range. Now it's coming to the bottom of the range. Sorry, kids, you have to walk home today. Yeah. If I bought myself a super expensive luxury car, I would have to, like, they would have to not eat in the car, make sure their shoes are clean, wash your hands, don't touch the windows. Like, there would be rules. And I would have to work it into the budget of not only buying the car, but paying for like a weekly deep clean from a professional cleaning service. All right, so we are breaking below the bottom of this range and this chop zone that I mentioned before. Let's see if we actually get a closure below the range to confirm it and confirm it's not a fake out. And then I would look for a little pullback, maybe towards VWAP 840-ish, and enter a short. Something like that if we get a pullback, or is it just going to dump on us? We got a new channel member. What's up? Thank you. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. All right, so we got the 5-minute candle closure below. Let's get a little retest. Because, again, I look at risk to reward. So if I entered down here, I would put my stop loss up above VWAP. That's a 77-point stop loss. There's no way. I'm not going to chase it. So if I get an entry further up here around 830s, 840s, I would actually take it. It might not come back. We'll see. $130-point drop in less than 15 minutes. That ain't nothing compared to yesterday. I don't know. This thing might not pull back very much. This is an interesting price action day, you guys. It just kind of feels sleepy. Those Friday vibes are starting early, I guess. Good morning, good morning. All right, it's coming up to this VWAP area. Let's see what happens, possibly around 850-ish. Oh, dang. That's not giving me the short vibes that I want. Wow. There's another example of why I don't set limit orders. I talked about that yesterday too. Because that would have just blown straight through. Still rejecting that level. Yesterday's value area high. What's it gonna be, NQ? All right, I'm taking a short, 843.25. Continuing to reject that same 900 level. I took a small position though, because it's so choppy. I don't love it. And I'm gonna put my stop loss, not even above that wick, but above VWAP. So 872 is where my stop loss is. Where did I say? Yeah, 872. And then our pre-market low, it's at like 650. I don't know if it's gonna go all the way down there. All right. Yeah, this is an ugly day, you guys. I don't know if I want to keep trading. No clear sign of where it should be going right now. Days like today are impossible to trade, yeah. I should probably take my green and walk away. I had these two trades at the open where I trailed my stop pretty tight and I was up $950 from those two. And then I just lost 185 on that one. So I'm up 774 for the day. I think I'm going to take it. Take my money and run. I said this yesterday too. That's one thing that I'm really focused on improving on is taking a couple trades and walking away. Because I journal pretty excessively, like not just my entries and exits and like P&Ls, but I journal my emotions and what I did well, what I messed up on. And a big recurring theme over the last couple months is overtrading and giving money back. Like turning a green day into a red day. And I'm not cool with that. I need to stop doing that. Isn't that what I just posted on Instagram? Yeah, that's kind of been a recurring theme in my posts recently. Talking about discipline and walking away and only trading, 90 minutes, 2 hours, not sitting at the screens forever. It's a hard cycle to break. For me, at least, I struggle with it. I don't know if any of you guys can relate, but in everything else in life, like if you're struggling in business or you're struggling in school with studying and stuff, the way to fix it is you work harder, right? You study more, you take more calls, you call more leads, you market more, like you spend more time at your desk, you work harder. That's how you fix every other problem in life. But in trading, I've had to teach myself it's the exact opposite. Like I actually do better when I do things that, in my opinion, are lazy. Like that's what I'm thinking in my head is I'm being lazy. I need to be productive. I need to be staring at the charts. But I do better when I go take the dogs on a walk or I sit on the couch and read my book or I work out every day anyway, but taking time away to go do other stuff that is not quote unquote work, that has been the best thing for my trading. And it feels weird, honestly, because I would say I only quote unquote work 2 hours a day. But my payouts, my P&Ls have gone up significantly. It's backwards in my brain. I'm still working on absorbing it. All right, gang. Yeah, this is still ugly. Chopping in the range. I'm going to call it. I will set, I actually have this alert set at 26K already. I was watching that from last night. I'm going to set another one at this initial balance high. Just to see if we do get some sort of breakout or a a level that is outside of this range that gets hit. But yeah, come join us in Discord if you guys are not already there. But other than that, if you're going to keep trading, trade safe. Trump is supposed to be signing executive orders in like 17 minutes, so careful for that. And then, you know, normal Friday afternoon volume starts to get pretty choppy. Enjoy your weekend, you guys. I will see ya on Monday. Take care.